Game 15. Leafs drop this one to the Boston Bruins 5-3. Reading the chat is a pretty fun way to start the show for me, because seeing a lot of people who jump into the chat while the game is going on and comment live. So before the show even goes live, I read a lot of the comments that come through and see where people are at, and basically getting to experience the roller coaster that is Toronto Maple Leafs hockey throughout the course of a 60-minute game, and just kind of getting a gauge of what people are feeling, thought process, all of it as things go on. I enjoy that. It's entertaining to get to see that, and I appreciate those people who jump into the chat before the stream starts and come here and give their thoughts and play-by-play. And then the game ends. And then the people who were finishing the game and weren't in the live chat jump in and start spewing thoughts before I give any opinions myself, and start to get on, each other effectively, and a battle starts to happen in the chat. And it's kind of been funny noticing, especially this season more than any other, watching the chat from the beginning and seeing, the ebbs and flows of the season take place in real time. Here are some of my favorite chats to start this show here so far tonight. I need a refund. I haven't seen Lalonde do a single thing this season. Lalonde is an assistant coach. Where are some of the other ones here that I saw that I loved? Awful Hockey Night in Canada performance. Big surprise. LOL. Guys, whoever panics in this chat, remember Nick the host said it's too early this time. Always have a fantastic November and guarantee this Leafs team is definitely a playoff team. Regular season means nothing. We are just Berube's cracking identity, ... Like, that's an AHL team they just lost to. Guys, I'm not thrilled with this performance tonight. But, again, this team has won the Atlantic Division. This team has been one of the best teams we've ever seen in terms of, points of franchise history through regular seasons, and gotten to the first round and lost. We watched last year where it was like, this Berube experiment doesn't work. This team stinks. It's never going to work with these guys. And then they won the Atlantic, and they go on to the Game 7 of Round 2. Now, again, I'm not saying that that's going to be the case, but to be where this team is right now, they just lost to a Bruins team that had won 5 in a row coming into this one. So credit to the Bruins, who have been on a heater here right now. Again, don't think the Bruins are that great of a team personally, and I think ultimately are probably a group that tails off and misses the playoffs. But that was Jeremy Swayman, who just played a great game for Boston there tonight. It's not like he made the most incredible saves and had the toughest body of work, but he played a very good game for the Boston Bruins tonight. David Pastrnak is still over there, and they still have solid NHL bodies that are a part of their lineup. Like, it's not like some just completely washed group. They've won 5 in a row coming into this one, and then they win this game. Now, the other thing to point out is, the defense has not looked great, but Anthony Stolarz has been really struggling, especially since he called out the team. Like, you would think if you're going to go out there and call out the team like that, you are allowed to, but you are going to have an obligation to show up game in and game out and perform for your team. And be a guy who is a solid, reliable guy back there to back up the words that you have, the words that you had when you called out the team for the effort, for protection, whatever. The team has at least responded to some of the specific things that Stolarz called them out for. we will talk about where we're at in this game and some of the mistakes that happened, because I think that was a lot of what we just watched there for the Bruins to beat the Leafs tonight and why things went the way they did. Boston did a great job of capitalizing on opportunities that the Leafs kind of put in their lap. Not to take anything away from Boston, the Leafs just kind of did some really stupid shit tonight that just Boston was there to capitalize on. But point being, the Leafs, at least you could tell there's guys competing. I think that's a good word to use to describe what we're seeing out of these guys. There's a very clear showing of compete from guys. Nick Waugh, Dakota Joshua, Max Domi. Unfortunate for Scott Laughton to leave this game, but until he left the game, Hem competing, Lorentz competing. We will talk about the mistakes and bad plays that happen, but the competing is there. OEL, McCabe competing. You're watching guys, Nick Robertson, Michelli competing. Knies, McMahon competing. Those guys throughout the lineup right now, you're seeing them buy in, play hard, and compete. Anthony Stolarz, competing or not, Anthony Stolarz has been really struggling for this group lately. And I saw a tweet that went out after the game. It was Vic who sent it to the group, actually. And if you're watching Vic in the chat right now, Vic is not too thrilled with the goaltending performance we saw tonight. But the stat is, and I haven't checked this to confirm myself, but Anthony Stolarz has had an .883 save percentage since calling his teammates bad. That is terrible. That is terrible. When I used to do the show, when I first started, Josh and I, my old co-hosting partner, used to talk about all the time, your backup goaltender, you're basically looking for that guy to be like around 900. If he's a 900 or above your backup goalie, you can be really, really happy with your backup goalie, right? Your backup goalie, I used to always put my personal barometer at like around 900, in around that number, close to. And if your backup goalie can put that up for you and he can compete like that, then you're going to be good. This is the starting goaltender we're talking about. Now, mind you, this is a larger workload than he's been used to in his entire career. This is a lot of games that he's been playing right now. Like you're looking at Caden Primo, who played, I think it was 2 or 3 games before tonight. He gets put on waivers because Wall is obviously coming back, but now you got Hill to be on the bench. Like it's just been Stoli every single night that you're getting out there and going out there for you. 883 is not acceptable. It's not acceptable from your starting goaltender, especially if you're going to call guys out. You need to be backing up the words if you're going to go out there and speak publicly and say, hey, the execution is not good enough. At bare minimum, you got to be putting up like 900, because then we get at least have a conversation and being like, it's not the greatest. Now, I'm not a goaltending expert. I'm not going to pretend to be, but just looking back there and on the stat sheet at the end of the day and saying, well, there was a 900, okay, the guy's 900 and, maybe some of those couldn't have gone in, but he made some good saves and the boys didn't play well in front of him. It was some sloppy hockey in the first 2 periods tonight, but of the 4 goals that were scored by the Bruins on Stolarz, I genuinely would put at least 3 of them on Stolarz tonight and say he needed to have those. Like those should have never gone in. The geeky one, Stolarz fails to kind of stay up with the play on that. Okay, obviously the one that gets scored by Victor Arvidsson is a bad play by Philippe Myers and Dakota Joshua. And again, we'll talk about we'll talk about the execution and stuff as we continue on with the show tonight. A presentation of Bet365 as always, but that one, sure, that's not Stoli's fault. It's a terrible play by Myers backing up into the corner. He throws that one up to Joshua. He tries to get a little bit too comfortable with that thing coming out off the wall towards the middle of the ice. He fumbles the puck. Myers is like looking at his feet like Bambi, can't figure out where the puck's coming, and all of a sudden it slides through and Victor Arvidsson smacks at it in the slot and it goes in. Okay, that's fair. But then it's like you look at the Esamont goal. Stoley's just got to be stronger on that post there. It's not Esamont pushing him into the net that causes the goal. It's Esamont stepping out and putting the puck under his legs because his legs are up in the air and lifted. And as that goes in, it's him bringing the puck across the line. Now, they played on the broadcast, which the Leafs video team seems to have been struggling here over the last little bit, but that one potentially could have been challenged for offside. Maybe they just felt it was too close, but could have been challenged for offside, especially according to the intermission crew. Great job by them finding that and isolating that play, but that one, okay, sure, but then you've gone past the offside now. It's not Esamont pushing you in. It's just Stoley being weak on the post. And then you watch the fourth one is, terrible play by Simone Benoit where Pasternak puts him in a spin cycle, but Stoley is just out to lunch on Pasta alone, and that thing is effectively just a mistake by Stoley in terms of how he's playing it, in my opinion, that it squeaks by him. Like, I don't even know what Pasta was doing there that would have been so incredible for Stoley to not be able to make that save. Like, Pasta effectively walks all the way into Stolarz. Great play by him on Benoit. Great play by him on hands and getting his hands free and tight. But then it's not like he burns Stoley and flips it up over him. Stoley just makes a bad play. Goes by him. They said on the broadcast, Stoley's getting yanked here. It's mostly because they're trying to get the team going. That's not a get the team going situation. That's sure, part of it would be, but that's more so, in my opinion, this guy's not having a night. Let's get him the fuck out of there, and then probably give him an opportunity to go tomorrow. We'll get into more here throughout the course of the show. I think that there's a lot we should touch on with the group, what we saw play-wise, because I see a lot of people making commentary about what the ceiling of this team is, and I want to touch on all that, but a few housekeeping notes here for people. First of all, if we get 50 likes on the stream, for every set of 50 likes, you do the smelling salts. I opened a brand new bottle the other day, so if you want to see a wicked reaction, that's probably what's going to happen. I put some brand new water in there, got that thing ready to go. When I open this, I might be on the floor for the first time, so if you want to see a solid reaction, check that out. As well, Super Chats. You want to get your question or your comment read on the show, send in the Super Chats. You click that $sign. You type the message you want to send. You send off your message by selecting however much money you would like to donate to the show here. Proceeds from our Super Chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. So goes to an amazing cause. You get your question or your comment read on the show. It's a great partnership that we have here. You guys want yours read. That's the way to do it. So make sure to send in those Super Chats. And with that said, we do have our first Super Chat of the night. This one comes in from Nate Dogg. Nate Dogg says, as always, Matthews is a terrible captain. There is literally nothing an opposing team could do to make him drop his gloves to stand up for a teammate. I don't know. Look, again, people are going to be mad and say this is a cop-out. I can't speak to what type of captain he is in the room. I can't. I will agree with the fact that it is very infuriating that there is not a physical, an emotional element of leadership from him that is visible when he's on the ice, when he's on the bench, leading by example that way. You know what you're going to get out of him in terms of being one of the best players on the ice for the most part, or one of the best players in the league, but there is that element that you want to see out of a guy like that, especially when you know this group can be as lifeless as it can be at times, where you want to see your guy, your leader, your big boy be the one to step up and snap. You could look around the league. McDavid, he's not going to be the guy to step up and fight for anybody. And, that's where I push back on Nate Dogg, where it's like, hey, you look around, okay, McDavid, is he going to fight? Probably not. Is Quinn Hughes going to fight? Probably not. There's numerous other captains around the NHL that you could probably say that guy will never drop his gloves. But when you watch those guys, there's a level of intensity that gets ramped up when all of a sudden you can see things aren't going the team's way, the player's way, whatever, that starts to drag guys into the fight or going into battles and into scrums and just being involved. Seeing him intentionally walk away or avoid them or just have no interest in being involved is very frustrating. I 100% agree with that. And whether that's right or wrong to call out, the type of captain and leader or whatever he is, that's not up for me to decide. It's the guys in the room who are going to have more say and who would know much better than we would in terms of what he's like as a captain. But there is a strong part of me that just continues the more and more this season goes and the more we see scrums and guys get pushed around, where I want to see him absolutely snap. I want to see him lose his shit. Like, I want to see it go absolutely nuts where he takes a swing at a guy, whether it's punching, if it's slashing or whatever. I want to see him just lose it, because I feel like that'll, in a way, be inspiring to the guys around him. And right now, it just feels like that's lacking, where he just won't. Yeah, I can't disagree with Nate when it comes to the emotional element or the lack thereof from the Maple Leafs captain. I see a lot of people complaining about Craig Berube. Look, I don't get it, to be honest with you. I don't think Craig Berube is what lost the Leafs this game tonight against Boston. I don't think Craig Berube's coaching style, schemes, whatever, systems, whatever, I don't think that's the reason that they're losing or playing or looking like this. So much of it is about the emotional element, like the buy-in from these guys that we're just not seeing. They had Mike Babcock, weren't interested in that. Had Sheldon Keefe, players coach, weren't interested in that. Have Craig Berube, not interested in that. Where I don't understand with the blame that comes on him is we saw this guy coach this team last year, faced all the criticism because they're boring, and then he took them to the second round in Game 7. Again, not saying they just repeat that and do that again, but like at what point is it just the guys in the room? I said it over and over, but in cowboy boots, they're saying starts with the coach, Zach. Again, the pushback is 3 different coaches, different GMs, president here, no more president. Everything around it has changed, and we're still watching the same thing, and then we're coming back here and being like, it's the coach. At what point is it just the guys in the room and them not being the types of players that you need to lead? Because I think that you need one of those guys to be the one who's going to say, let's fucking go here. I just don't understand how we can come here and blame the coach, especially when you watch the guy take them to round 2, Game 7 last year. Matthews-Nylander, John Tavares is what he is. Again, great night for Johnny T. He just continues to be a pillar of consistency. But just I can't get behind blaming Craig Berube. I don't think that that's very fair. A very fair criticism of the coach, especially seeing that this is the guy who won the Atlantic Division with them last year. Everybody, I don't know if we forgot about that. 2 guns, 2 puck. Wow, Zach, the second round loss. Let's have a parade. I just don't get it. Like, why are we coming here and we're fucking complaining about Craig Berube and saying, oh, Craig Berube is not the guy to get it done? Neither was the last guy. Like, who was the guy that was available? Who was the guy? Like, who's the guy that you're going out there and hiring and bringing in here to say, hey, this is the guy. It's a guaranteed fucking Stanley Cup with this guy. It doesn't work that way. He took them, won the Atlantic last year, and they went to the second round. And, my point would be, again, with this game tonight, and what I've seen from these guys throughout most of the season this year, the times where they look really, really poor is when it's just the execution is not there. Right? Like, this game was a lack of puck protection, not taking care of it, which is a kind of the same thing, but they were sloppy, they couldn't make passes, struggled to enter the zone, and then it would be really good, and they would put it together for like 5-6 minutes, and they would string that together. The effort was there all night. I'm not going to discredit them for effort tonight. I thought that they brought it from that standpoint. I didn't have an issue with that, but it's watching them skate around and make bad passes, sloppy passes, just kind of being disconnected. You'd watch them transition and try to break out, and just the pass would be 6 inches in front of the guy, 6 inches behind the guy. It's just slightly off, or making a pass to a guy who doesn't know that the pass is coming, trying to come off the wall and skating towards your own net, or backing up at the puck, taking on pressure when you don't need to. There were numerous times where it's just sloppiness. Even some of it bad luck, sure, but there was one shift that we watched where it was Ekman-Larsson tries to make a pass into, or Jake McCabe, tries to make a pass in tight to Auston Matthews. It gets picked off. There was no need for him to make the pass. It's in the offensive zone, kind of just below the top of the circle. McCabe was on the wall, and then he tries to make this pass to Matthews, who's in the middle, which it was very clear, he was showing the whole time that was the pass he was going to make. It gets picked off. It's going the other way. OEL has a chance to keep it in. He decides not to keep it in. This, to me, is the perfect description of what happened here tonight, right? OEL then decides, I'm going to take this puck from inside the blue line, circle back to the neutral zone, and we're going to transition. Okay, I don't love that, because you're pushing, you're behind in the game. You should have a chance, and you should be trying to keep this thing in. Take a risk there. You've got 5 guys down low. You could take that one and shoot it into the corner. Matthews-Nylander likely is going to go battle after it. You're also going to go watch William Nylander hopefully go chase that puck down. Auston Matthews chase that puck down, because the effort, I thought, was there tonight. But you just swat that thing back in, you get it back down low, and maybe you go battle for the puck. It's a 1-goal game. Instead, he circles out to the neutral zone. Matthews and everybody has to come clear out. There was a little bit of a change that takes place, but then OEL tries to dump a puck back into Matthews on the cycle, or on the transition, and as they're regrouping and Matthews is curling through the neutral zone, he fires a 3-foot high saucer pass that misses Matthews and goes right to the Bruins. They transition and go back up the ice. Now, they don't score on the play or anything, but it's just that play was unnecessary for Ekman-Larsson to make. Could have kept it in the first place. It came after the bad Jake McCabe decision, trying to force the pass to Matthews. And then it's just a missed pass where Boston's now going back down the other way. They're going up the ice with a chance in transition. The Leafs have not been very good in transition, both carrying offense up the ice and then defending it down the other way. And then you're forcing yourself in that situation to be facing a play. Well, first of all, trying to transition yourself, which you haven't been good at. When you didn't need to, you could have just held it in the zone. And then second, now having to face Boston coming back the other way with a head of steam. Why put yourself in that position? Why make yourself have to face an oncoming rush when you could have easily just maintained possession or just kept it in the zone? There was some bad decisions that were made tonight, some terrible execution as well. That is what's frustrating to me in this. And 6 1/3, like we got. I don't know. I'm just reading some of the chat. People are losing their minds. And I'm not 6 1/3 specifically. I'm just reading comments about people going back and forth with each other right now. I don't know. And there's a comment here. Michael Kirkpatrick says, number of Leafs not into Berube's system, and the number is too high. The thing for me is, like, what do you do then? Like, what is your next logical response to that if you're genuinely sitting here and saying, yeah, not a lot of guys are buying into Berube's system. They don't want to play this way. Well, okay. That's when you have the conversation internally and you have to sit down with the board or the GMs and the rest of the front office and say, so what do we think is successful? You have to ask yourself, honestly, what do we think is successful? Do we think that Berube's style is going to be the one that wins Stanley Cup and that's the one we want to buy into? Or do we think that it's skill and fast and fancy and, making sure everybody that puts up charts on the internet is happy because, it's all little green bubbles and boxes and it looks fucking great on their charts. Is that what we want? You have to make a decision. If they won't buy into it, then you got to decide which one is it. Which one do you think is going to be successful? And maybe right now, this is going to sound caveman-ish, but my honest opinion would be more so Berube style. Maybe it's not Berube who's the guy, but regardless of who the voice is, I think this style of hockey is going to be much more likely to win. Hard-nosed, heavy. Last year, good defensively. You got good goaltending, which obviously helps a lot. I think if you get good goaltending over the last stretch since Stoli called out the team, and even I would say arguably prior to him calling out the team, you're not as worried about this group as we are right now. But you're looking at a coach who won a Stanley Cup. You're looking at a coach who took the team and won the Atlantic Division, who played the most difficult style of hockey for opponents to play against in the playoffs that I think we've seen. I think the one year they beat Tampa just kind of works out that way because it was, A, Tampa had played a lot of hockey coming into that, and B, that was the closest to what the Leafs were style-wise, where it just worked out the best for them to match up against Tampa. And you're now saying, okay, we're going to buy into this playoff brand that we watch. Even Edmonton plays much more similar to that style once they get to the playoffs. Now, it's not Craig Berube who's behind their bench, but they play hard, heavy, solid defensive game. Not run and gun, let's score 1 million goals here tonight and hope that it works. This is a work in progress. I think these guys will buy in. I think it will be okay. I do agree that seems like there's some guys who are just on the outside looking in saying, hey, maybe I would prefer not to play this style of hockey. I'm not going to disagree with that. But we watched them play the skill game year after year after year, and it never worked. So why? Like, why now changing it is everybody like, oh, I preferred the other one because it was at least fun to watch. You lost in the first round every year. It's great. I see a lot of people here commenting about goaltending. Last year, goaltending when Berube was in St. Louis. Look at the goalies on teams that win the Stanley Cup. Look at the runs they put together. Like we're pretending like teams that win the Stanley Cup don't have incredible goaltending behind them. That's why Edmonton can't get it done. Because their goalie can't be consistent at that level. He goes in the playoffs, he could put up a shutout, he could let in 6 goals. Goaltending is a huge part of this. You need goaltending. Debo there pointing out the Avs, trash goaltending. It's not true. It wasn't trash goaltending. The guys that they had going in net in that run when Colorado won the playoffs were playing really well. Yes, maybe it's not the sexiest names in the world, but they played really well. You got to give them credit for that. I'm going to send a link here in the chat. If anybody wants to call into the show, you can click on this, and I'm happy to debate, to discuss whatever with anybody here tonight. You want to talk about firing people? You want to talk about trading people? You want to talk about how this season is a lost season? You click on that link. You can call into the show here. I'm happy to have anybody call in and debate on anything. You know, I again, Debo there says Hutchison was in net. Hutchison played like 1 game. You know, the goaltending they got through the run was still good. If Stolarz was just average throughout the beginning of this season here, they're a good team. The other thing I also just don't understand, the revisionist history, like, look, the Brandon Carlo trade is, yes, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow for a while. I'm not so worried about the Laughton trade. I think that one's going to work out not the same way people would assume, obviously, but I think that one's going to work out for the Leafs, you know, especially this year. Hopefully, maybe Laughton can re-sign and just continue to be a solid piece. I mean, obviously, losing him here tonight was frustrating, but not frustrating of him, just frustrating. The guy finally makes his way back into this lineup, plays 1 game, plays really well. Looked pretty good, I thought, tonight to start this game, and then gets absolutely creamed by Zadorov. But, you know, like, that one, yeah, maybe it's a little expensive, but I think that works. The Carlo trade is one, obviously, we're going to look at and say, yeah, that one's tough. But I'm so sick of this from this chat. Honestly, like, this is where I'm going to call people out and say, this is fucking enough. Look yourselves in the mirror and fucking chill out. The conversation that just continues to come up about, you know, look, I'll call him out. I'm not afraid of this. Michael just constantly leading the brigade. You know, this is where, like, it's got to stop, where it's just, look at the years, you traded away these picks, you traded away this, you traded away that. Shut the fuck up. Every one of those years, you thought you were a competing, contending team. You were top 3 in your division every year of those years. You were probably top 5 in the conference in each one of those years going into the playoffs. You're of the understanding and the belief that this team is really good. Everyone around the league believes this team is really good. I still think those teams were really good. They just were not constructed for the playoffs. At that point, you need to be making these trades to go out there and try to push. Like, if we sat through trade deadline after trade deadline after trade deadline, and we just kept watching this team and saying, why won't they make trades? Why won't they add? Why won't they do this? The players in the room start to get the feeling this team, the GMs, the coaches, the front office, the owners, they don't believe in us. That's why they're not going out and trading for pieces. That's one thing that you deal with. The second thing is you have to be trying to go out there and make your team better when you are looking at a team that's in the top. Like, sure, the first couple of years, that's when you get Brian Boyle and Thomas Plekanec. I was like, who the fuck was buddy with the mock neck or whatever? But, you know, you're watching them at the top of the division, for at first, okay, yeah, sure. You're not going to go out there and you're not going to try to make some big trades. You're going to let it go slowly. You're going to let these guys figure it out. But then once you get through, you got to start pushing and taking steps and trying to acquire pieces. Like, you have to take those steps. Otherwise, you're just in no man's land forever. And my pushback on it all is, you're sitting in a top playoff position. If you keep your pick, you're constantly drafting at the end of the first round. And yeah, I get it. Drafting in the first round is better than not drafting in the first round at all. But like, you're not getting some player, which people seem to believe would be coming in here and making this team significantly better immediately. Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, that kid is still developing. That kid is still working his way into the NHL right now. He would have been 18 years old, drafted in the first round. They don't always hit, which is what I just don't understand with these people, where it's like, how are you possibly looking at these and being like, well, this kid, like, it's like that potential kid that you would have had, he would have been making a difference. How do you know they would have picked the guy in that spot? How do you know that their development team would have had him go through things the same way and it would have worked out? Like, it's not always a guarantee. So the revisionist history on these trades, I think, is ridiculous. I will concede that trading a prospect along with some of these has not looked the best. Yes, the Fraser Minton one, who scores here tonight against the Leafs, when Brandon Carlo on the other side in the same game does not look the best. Yes, that one hurts. I understand. Nikita Grubenkin is a fun player in the media. He is an energy ball. He is doing well in Philadelphia. That one is going to hurt because he was fun to cheer for, to root for, to watch. But I don't think Nikita Grubenkin necessarily bites you in the ass the same way that a Fraser Minton will in the future. Like, I can see that trading that prospect is a different story, where you knew what you had and you traded picks along with it. Okay, sure, I understand frustration from people on that side of things. But again, it's just, to sit here right now and suggest that you could not have traded these guys and traded these picks, that is, for these players, I think is ridiculous. And, I'm not trying to make excuses for some of it, but Ryan O'Reilly was fine. I think he helped, but I don't think it ever necessarily fit the best when he was here. I get the feeling, this is pure speculation, that he just didn't like the room and the culture that was here. Like, I get that energy from what Ryan O'Reilly did. And people say he didn't like to spotlight the media. Maybe that's true. It just felt like he didn't enjoy being here and the culture and all of it, of being around these guys and being part of it. That trade, that guy also went on and helped the team win the first round of this group. He did. He was part of it. Sure, Noel Acciari, I believe, was in that trade as well. You can look at some of the other ones like Luke Schenn. Good addition. Good trade, I thought. Looking at the Foligno one. Expensive. Nick Foligno got here, and immediately Nick Foligno was injured. And a significant one. It hindered him throughout the entire time that he was here. Not an excuse, because yes, it never was perfect even before the injury, but he got hurt. So it's just, you can't predict some of these things. Sometimes things just don't bounce your way. Donnie Does Dishes said that Schenn didn't like the culture here either. That is entirely untrue. Entirely untrue. I can tell you that. So the speculation of that, don't even try. Not true. Schenn got offered a lot of money and decided, I have to take this. And I don't blame him. I understand. He got traded from Nashville to Winnipeg, so maybe he would have preferred if he could have came back here, but the Leafs were never going to pay him the money that he got. But I mean, again, to say like this team shouldn't have gone and tried to add, I think is ridiculous. And I'm just getting so sick of people coming here into the chat every single time and arguing that over and over again. I think that that's such a lazy bullshit argument to be making, that, you know, they shouldn't have tried to continue to improve the team. You end up with just a no man's land pick anyways if you decide to keep it. You're trying to improve the team. You're trying. If those guys re-sign and stay, it also doesn't look as bad. Anyways, back to tonight. Power play. I want to talk about the power play. So the Leafs power play here tonight. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's get to Crave the Stats, because this, I think, will fit in. So let's get to Crave the Stats, presented by Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Every time the Leafs are playing at home, you can get these exclusive deals in Toronto only on Uber Eats. Firehouse Subs, the BOGO Brisket Hat Trick, Kibo Sushi, the BOGO California Roll, Shelby Shawarma, the BOGO Traditional Wrap, BOGO Buy One, Get One. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Make sure to head on over to your Uber Eats app. I mean, this is one of those ones where tonight, I was all over the Uber Eats app tonight. It could not be a more convenient app for me. Let's just put it that way. And I'm putting my Poppy back in. It was stabbing me. There we go. That's better. I was just getting absolutely roasted in the chest with the pin. I left that screen up there for a while because I was trying to fix this, but we just end up having to take it down and fix it. We're good. Okay, let's get to Crave the Stats. Let's see where we're at tonight, but I specifically want to point out the power play and what we saw from these guys. So, power play tonight for the Maple Leafs. Officially listed 0 for 4 on the night. I think that is incorrect because the John Tavares goal was a power play goal, but so that would seem incorrect. And then I believe the Nick Robertson one was also a power play goal. But the power play really struggling to be feeling dangerous. The one thing, they scored 2 power play goals. I was going to say this is incorrect, but because they had the 2, which it just updated there. But the power play, despite going 2 for 4 tonight, which I know people are going to say, oh, here you go, despite. You're saying despite. They did go 2 for 4. They were 50%. The power play just feels... The power play feels right now like it lacks a sense of urgency. The only group that I feel like really displays it, which I was glad that they actually started them. They started them on the one that the first unit ended up scoring when they came out second, but it was the second unit got the start on the one where JT scored, and I think that they deserved it at that point. Like, I think they deserved and had every right to be out there on the power play and going and getting that start and getting the opportunity, because they were the only group that was really showing any type of fire or emotion whenever they got out there. And I know I keep referring back to, like, using the words emotion and fire and energy and whatever, but the zone entry is the first thing that really, really, really kills me with these guys. So often they spend 30, 40 seconds trying to enter the zone for like the first time. And it's also a little bit annoying because it quite often feels like the first chance they get off the power play, whenever they're in the offensive zone, they're losing the draw or losing the puck, one or the other. If they start with the puck, it's a little bit of a different story on the power play where all of a sudden, okay, yeah, you can get some momentum here. You can pass the puck around a little bit, create a chance. But, the second they lose it, first of all, this is where the frustration comes in for me when it comes to the urgency. And again, I know that they did score on the power play here tonight, and they scored 2. And the goals that they scored, I will touch on in a second, because those goals in particular and those plays were great. But the entire body of work around it is a little bit frustrating, where it's like they lose it and they don't have this like dog on a bone mentality to get the puck back. It's like they lose it and it's like, it's kind of over there. That guy's got it. Like, there doesn't seem to be this like, we lost it, they got the puck, we're going to get this thing back. Like, a shot comes through, a rebound pops out, we've got to go get the rebound, we've got to get the puck back, we've got to maintain possession, we've got to stay in the zone. It's like, there just seems to be this like, all right, we'll regroup. Like, we'll go back and get the puck. Puck comes out, I could potentially keep this thing in. Maybe they could dive across and save it, or I don't know, but it's just like, we'll go back into the neutral zone. We'll have a regroup. Some of that it's just bleeding over from 5-on-5 to the power play, and then back from power play to the 5-on-5, where it's like, I want to see these guys, and yeah, sure, it's the regular season, and maybe that's something more so you could expect or hope that they would do when it comes to the playoffs, where it's like, hey, we're diving and trying to do everything you can out there, but it's like, it feels like you're just losing battles constantly, losing races. Puck goes to the corner off of a rebound. Boston player and a Leafs player kind of step in step, and I say Leafs player because at any point it could be any of them on those power plays, and it's like, you could almost bet your life savings that Bruins player is going to get there. You could almost guarantee that the Bruins player is getting the puck first on the power play situations. It feels very rare that a Leafs player wins that race, or at least goes 50-50 and gets there at the same time to be able to make that play, to hold the zone, to keep it in. Like, there's no battle. And then if they do get there, even a step behind, like, that battle's not being won. They're basically just going in there to show face that they've gone into the battle. And then the puck goes back out. And like, they have a lot of skill, and you see that on some of these plays, like when they score the goal, the John Tavares goal, or when they score the Nick Robertson goal from the great play by Domi, which, again, credit to the second unit because they are dogs on bones, which I am very appreciative of getting to watch from those guys. And I was happy that they got to start that one that actually ended up seeming to kickstart the Leafs' first power play unit. But the biggest sense of frustration is the zone entry. And again, we could break this down until like our brains fall out of our heads and we all just pass away and disintegrate into dust. But I was watching at the same time tonight the Montreal-Utah game. You watch those guys, and after I finish this, I'm going to turn on the Edmonton and Colorado game. When you watch those guys enter the zone on power plays, it seems so... I don't want to say easy, because easy is the wrong word, but it seems like they just have such a high success rate at entering the zone. Everybody that is on like these elite teams, that it's just really frustrating. That they struggle so much the way they do. And I can't understand where it's like it's Matthews entering. Nylander's the best at entering with the puck, entering the zone with the puck, excuse me. Tavares just doesn't have the foot speed for it. Morgan Rielly's not the guy to do it. Matthew-Knies, I don't think, should be the guy to do it. I'd rather him being a guy who's going to haul ass and drive to the front of the net and get yourself there. But, it's just like, okay, Nylander's your guy that's going to do it. Auston Matthews, in my brain, seems like he should be the guy to be able to do it. And yet they just cannot seem to enter the zone. I think that as Baseball Dude 34 brings up in the chat, is it the drop back pass? I think that's a huge part of it. And again, this is me saying this from dude, I'm talking here. I'm not behind an NHL bench, but it feels like they set themselves up for everybody to be at a standstill. And if the defense is in a standstill in that position, I think it just benefits them because they're effectively creating a wall at the blue line and playing Red Rover with the puck carrier. Like the Leafs have a guy go up. They've got two guys up at the blue line already standing still. Guy skates at the puck, drops it back. He goes up. He stands still. Now you've got three guys basically across the blue line all standing still. You got one guy carrying the puck, one guy's an outlet, and then that's effectively it. And you're basically banking on that guy to be able to get into the zone rather than having five guys going in motion, getting across the blue line where, hey, you can go have the guy with the puck get in, get across the line, and then maybe he can dish it off to somebody else who's in motion. But how often do you watch them cross the blue line and try to chip it across to a player who's standing still at the blue line? Like, the opposing team just immediately looks at them and just steps up. Like, it feels like you just need to have more guys in motion. Again, I'm not an NHL coach, but simply enough, I watch these other ones, and it feels so hard for the opposing team to defend because there's so many people moving. I watch Montreal tonight, and no matter who it is carrying in the puck, the guy that's on their side of the ice is moving with them. So when they get across the blue line, there's an opportunity for one of two things. First of all, that guy to carry the puck right through and just get himself down into the corner and hold the zone and set up. Two, to get the puck over to the guy who was on the walls at the blue line because he's in motion with you, which means that the defenders, they can't just stand still and stop and be like, I'm going to poke check you because you're not getting through me. And then once you go to the guy on the wall, I don't have to move my feet because he's 3 feet away from you and my stick reaches there and I can just step over and poke at that guy. And then the Leafs are just standing still. And next thing you know, it's back out of the zone. They can't get in. Like, I watched the Montreal one, and the amount of times, in particular, even Utah does it as well, where it's just like two guys going in across in motion, the defenseman has to be skating backwards. Simple as that. And then the guy goes into the corner with the puck, or he dishes to the guy on the wall. If the defender decides, hey, I'm going to step up on the guy at the wall, the player who was skating with the puck initially and dumped it off to the player who just stepped in, he can continue down and you can do a give and go. Like, there's so much movement that's happening. And what's amazing to me is that this is year 10 of like the same power play struggle. How many times do we come here and say they can't enter the zone? Like, it feels like this is a nightly occurrence. It's like power play couldn't get in for 10 years. Watching the same thing. I don't get how there's not an adjustment that's made. You go 2 for 4 on the power play. So this is where I wanted to get back to because you did score on the power play. But here's going to be my positive and my gripe, right? The gripe is, why doesn't the puck move like that all the time? And I know that the execution on those was beautiful, but let's take, for example, and again, I'm not trying to knock the second unit because I think that the time that they had on the ice tonight was very effective and efficient in their little time on the power play. But like that play, it's Nick Robertson getting the puck up on the wall, dishing it off, finding a way through the lane, moving his feet into the high slot, then continuing down lower on. It makes Boston have to pay attention to him. It's making guys spread out. It's opening up space for other players to skate through and become a problem. Like, I know that I'm saying things very generically here right now talking about it, but it's just like moving your feet and moving the puck that quickly becomes a problem for the defenders where they can't just stand still and be like, you stay out there on the outside and we're just going to stand here and you can just move things around and maybe take a shot from out there and then that's it, because then that's not concerning. The second unit moved quickly. They moved their feet. They moved the puck fast. They moved it with a purpose. That's the other thing. Moving the puck with a purpose instead of just moving the puck for the sake of moving the puck. That Nick Robertson play, I think, is beautiful, and him and Domi deserve a lot of credit because it's Domi coming up the wall, and at the same time, Nick Robertson is driving down through. People moving and getting in motion makes Boston have to open things up, change, switch off who they're guarding or where guys are, and next thing you know, the puck's in the back of the net because a beautiful pass is made by Domi to Robertson, and it goes in. So now, carrying that over, my gripe then becomes, why can't the first unit do that? Right? Like, credit to the second unit. That was a beautiful play, a beautiful goal, great execution by them. Why can't the first unit do that? You have significantly more skill on the first unit than you do on the second unit, and yet you seem to just want to like stand around and like hope things work. Now, that's the goal by JT that ends up going in. The first unit comes out, and to begin, it's like there's bad passes. Everyone's standing still. The puck's moving slowly. Things are getting telegraphed. The pass that OEL made to William Nylander that got picked off, which they luckily got it back, but the pass that he makes across, it's just a bad decision. There's no need for him to go there. The Boston defender is watching it the entire time. Everyone in the world knows this pass is going to William Nylander. He's standing there with his stick tickling the rafters, and OEL's trying to get it to there. If it goes to him, sure, yeah, it's a great play. Nylander probably gets off a good shot, but we all knew that that was where he was going. The Boston defender reads it, gets a stick on it. Thankfully, the Leafs end up keeping it in the zone, but that's effectively what you're watching from the group the whole time. Predictable, predictable, predictable. Like, that's what they do. And then the goal they score, it's like snapping the puck around quick. They all of a sudden, they like snapped out of it. Puck moves quickly. Boston is having to chase. You're watching it go from one guy to the next guy and then back to that guy. Boston's moving around. They're kind of get a little bit of head spinning. It was like 5 or 6 passes quick. And next thing you know, it goes around to OEL, to Nylander. JT slides back up. Puck comes into him and he rips that shot. It's like, you move the puck fast. It made Boston have to spread back out and get guys up higher, trying to chase the puck up high and following around the puck movement going on there. It opens up JT inside. It goes to JT, and he rips a shot. It's a beautiful shot. Why can't you move the puck with that sense of urgency the entire time you're on the power play? That's the frustrating part for me. Yeah, there you go. That's the power play breakdown. I know they went 2 for 4 and it's 50%, and it's like, it can't be that mad at them about it. But for me, more than anything, it's the process of it. And the goals they scored, it's great process. The pass by Domi to Robertson, the puck movement and the feet moving, and guys just getting themselves open and moving into space and just forcing Boston to have to kind of try to follow along. Beautiful. And then the other thing is the JT one, just quick puck movement with a purpose that spreads things out, gets JT open, he scores. Why can't we do that all the time? That seems so easy. It seems so easy to do. We got people all across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube commenting right now. Appreciate everyone for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe here to the channel. We are just shy of 50 likes here on the stream tonight. We get 50, we'll do the smelling salts. I got a few things to kind of get to here tonight that I want to discuss. Let's start as we continue along. Where do we want to start? Okay, let's answer this question first. So Do we have any word on when Tanev is back? No, I have no idea. I don't think there's been any timeline, official timeline or anything that's been set. It doesn't seem like there's any official news or anything about when he'll be back or anything, so we don't know there. You just got to continue to power along. That one we don't know. Laughton, I haven't seen confirmed, but I'm just going to assume at this point that Laughton's not going to be playing tomorrow. I'm just seeing if I can find anything right now, but it's like there's no confirmation. That I can find. Oh, okay, there you go. David Alter said Craig Berube says he doesn't know the severity of Scott Laughton's injury other than to say he will not play tomorrow. So there you go. That one, look, I would assume Conkey, he got absolutely smoked, like just lit up by Nikita Zadorov. I think that's a clean hit. I think it's just a big guy following through on a hit and catching Laughton when he's not suspecting it. Don't think that there was too much to complain about on that one. I know Berube wanted an elbowing call, but I think that's a stretch. I think more than anything, that's trying to stick up for your guy. I know it was a little bit questionable, but I don't think I think that the way that you saw Zadorov go through was not him elbowing Laughton. I think that's him exploding through the hit and his arm following through, if that makes sense. Right? His arm's going through. He's not elbowing Laughton. He's hitting through and going up, arm up into the hit. So I don't think that was a problem. Bobby McMahon. Good on Bobby for stepping up and fighting Nikita Zadorov. That's a fucking terrifying human being. My only thing for Bobby, my only advice, you gotta commit, brother. If you are going to fight Nikita Zadorov, well, first of all, if you are going to fight after that hit, you need to know who the guy was. You need to know who the guy was that just made that hit that you're going in there to fight. I got the impression Bobby was thinking, I'm going to give this guy a cross check. That's probably going to be the end of it. We'll move on. Was not the end of it. Nikita Zadorov immediately decided we're fighting, and I don't think Bobby McMahon was that interested off the rip to fight that fight. Zadorov effectively beat the wheels off of him. Good for him for stepping up. Again, good for him for stepping up. No issue there. But if you're going to go into that one, you got to know right away, we're fighting, I'm fighting, let's fucking go. And I didn't get the vibe that was what Bobby was thinking and having go through his head at that point. It was interesting, to say the least, the way that he approached that one. What else do we got for tonight? Hildeby looked good in the play that he had. Obviously finishes tonight. The one goal against him. And that one goal, again, terrible play by Lorentz at the wall. And this is what we saw from these guys all night. Bad plays, mistakes, trouble handling the puck. Lorentz, bad play off the wall, picked off, goes back the other way. Minton opens up. Great hesitation by him to not shoot it right away, get Hildeby down, and then takes a shot. Hildeby gives up 1 goal on 20 shots. He had a .950 save percentage. Stolarz let in 4 on 19. Oh, God. 4 on 19. He had a .789 save percentage, so it's a little bit rough. I don't know. What else do we have? Is there anything else? Yeah, in cowboy boots, good for him for stepping in knowing it was not going to go well. I agree. My only advice, if you're going to go in there, you got to fucking go in there, man. Like, you got to go in there and be like, okay, I'm fighting, and then be ready. Because it felt like Bobby was kind of like, I'm going to go and send a message, and then it was like, it was Nikita Zadorov, and he's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I think if he wanted to kill Bobby, he probably could have. I think he might have stepped off the gas a little bit. Okay, let's get to a couple more things here. Let's get to our play of the game here next. Okay, play of the game tonight. I think play of the game for me is going to be as simple as going with that the Nick Robertson goal. An honorable mention would go to the John Tavares goal, but it's going to be the Nick Robertson one. Just great pass by Max Domi, great puck movement. Those guys were moving around well. Yeah, I mean, it's simple, it's short on this one, but that's what it is. Let's now get to our best bet segment. Our best bet is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use the code NATION, that's NATION, at Bet365. You must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Best bet tonight did not go that well. And it just got brought up in the chat. It was a William Nylander anytime goal. It was a big one. It was plus 170 on Bet365, and we went to full unit on that one. So that brings our record this year to 9-13. It also means we lose a full unit here tonight, bringing us to up 2.3 on the season. That would be $230 on the year that we are profiting, but we do lose 100 here on this one tonight. So unfortunate, but Willie did have some chances. Wasn't the most dominant night for him. I do think that the puck was kind of just getting away from him at different points all night here tonight. You could tell that he was just off of it. And then that crossbar post trifecta where the buzzer went off, or not the buzzer, the lights went off, and Willie is celebrating, and all that is just such a dagger, especially knowing that I was sitting there holding and had given out a Nylander anytime goal as our best bet. So that was an unfortunate way for us to wrap that one up. So that loses up $230, 2.3 units on the season. Also, I do want to touch on this because this is where I'm going to have a disagreement with people where, I just don't, no. Masit Actus says, Waugh, Joshua are shit. Disagree. I think they looked even better here tonight. I know that it's not going to be the prettiest for them. They finished. Waugh is a even on the night for plus minus. Joshua is a -2. He did have that bad play, but Waugh had that amazing pass after to Matias Maccelli off the wall. I thought that was a great play. Also, I agree with Rick the Sizzle here. He said Waugh had an unreal pass, and Joshua was one of their best players after he screwed up on the second goal. Agreed. I thought it was a terrible play he made for that goal, but after that, I thought he looked really solid. I don't know. I thought he looked good. I think both have room for improvement, but to say that their ass is, I think is. I would just disagree. I think that they've been getting better and better as this has gone on. Okay, that'll do it for tonight's postgame show. Grade of the game. I forgot about that. Grade of the game. Let's get to our grade of the game. I want to know what everyone's thinking for this one. How you feel about tonight's game. Grade of the game for me. What is my grade of the game? I think I'm going to go with like a C. I'm thinking like a C minus, maybe a D plus on this. Yeah, look, you generated 33 shots. Defensively, struggling. Morgan Riley, bad. Brendan Carlo, bad. McCabe, fine. Philippe Myers, not good. Simone Benoit just looks uncomfortable right now. Ekman Larson, I thought was okay, fine. Power play goes 2 for 4. That's good. Boston's power play did go 1 for 1. Swayman, I thought was good. He didn't have to be excellent, but I thought he was good. That Willie one goes in. We're going into overtime, and he rips that thing from an empty net to just crossbar post, back of the leg, out. Like, just a couple things here and there where it's like, I don't think it was terrible. I thought the effort was there. I thought the compete level was there. But execution tonight was tough. It's one of those weird ones where I thought that they executed really poorly. And maybe, this is probably where I agree with Rick the Sizzle a little bit more. I thought that the compete level and the execution, or the compete level and the intensity was there. The execution was poor. You talk about the unforced errors that you saw. Joshua off the wall, the Lorentz turnover, Stolarz just not following the puck very well, making some bad passes. The one he threw to Laughton in the slot where it was like a grenade on his stick and he's got 2 guys on him, like bad decision making. But the fact that they competed in this one, you were down 4-3, pushing late in the game. Obviously, Boston gets that extra goal by Fraser Minton to make it 5-3, but my point being, if your goaltender doesn't have a .789 save percentage and is letting in 4 goals on 19 shots, you're probably, like, we're having a different convo tonight, which I'm glad that is at least, that element is there, and I know that is a bit of a cope, and I get that, and people are not going to love that I'm saying this, but to know that there was an effort level displayed by these guys that at least allowed them to be within this one, even though they were so shit at execution, I'm glad. Like, you can look at it like from that angle where it's like, okay, if you had the goaltending better situation, you probably are better suited to win this one because Stolarz let in 3 goals that I think were very much on him. And you competed. So, like, I'm glad that was the case. It feels like there's more team buy-in where, okay, guy goes to the front of the net at your goalie. They're there to scrum it. A guy goes into the other team's goalie, and the Leafs are ready to start something or be involved in it, which is just a change. And I know it's a stupid little thing, but it's a reality. And then on top of that, it's some of the physicality you see from these guys that I am glad that that element is in their game. Let me just check this one last thing before I wrap the show. Seeing some conversation about thoroughly outplayed at 5-on-5. Like, I don't think it was pretty. I give you that. I just want to know kind of what it comes into. Deserve to win a meter for this one, 40% for the Maple Leafs. 61.8% for the Bruins, just under 39% for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it settles 61.7% here right now. And yeah, I'm getting asked about Nick Schmaltz being the answer. No, I don't think Nick Schmaltz is the answer. I also think Utah is going to make the playoffs. The whole Nick Schmaltz conversation is not via trade. The Nick Schmaltz situation would be, are they going to pay him in the offseason, which I think they will. And if they don't, then no, it's not happening. But otherwise, if they don't pay him, yeah, go get him. Also, so just for people here, this is according to Money Puck. It's publicly available information. There's obviously flaws with all of it, and people can agree or disagree. But expected goals at 5-on-5 was 3.1 for Boston, 2.76 for the Maple Leafs. Expected goals, all situations, which is where I kind of get to, where it was like the compete level. I'm happy with 4.12 for the Maple Leafs. Expected goals, all situations, 4 for the Bruins. Now, what is an expected goal? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? That's up to you, but just kind of giving you what the advanced analytics say about what was the difference between 5-on-5 and power play and the game as a whole. That's it for tonight. Matthews-Nylander-Knies did lead the Leafs, by the way, with expected goals in this one. He was 77.2% in the expected goals for against expected goals against argument. Okay, that's it for tonight. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow for another Leafs breakdown. We'll see how this one goes. I'm not so excited for this. Carolina on a back-to-back. At least you're not traveling for this one, so that's a positive sign. But kudos to Matias Maccelli. I thought he played well tonight. Nick Robertson, I didn't touch on very much here in this postgame, but I thought Nick Robertson was good tonight. So, again, great game for him. He continues to compete for a spot. Hey, man, if I get proven wrong on this one, I'm happy about it. That's the thing here. I'm willing to be wrong on Nick Robertson. I'm interested consistency-wise and how long it lasts. Again, there is skepticism in where I'm at for him and his ability to be a long-term solution. The honest truth. I really want it to work for him. I like him. I like him as a player. I just question whether or not it's sustainable for him. He's not really shown it to this point in his career, but that can change. A lot can change. So I hope that it does. On top of that, Maccelli, again, thought he looked good tonight. Joshua, I think, heading in the right direction. Scott Laughton, unfortunate that he goes out with it in this one. Hildeby, I thought, looked good. So, again, credit to Hildeby. The other thing, you got to fucking challenge that offside. I don't know how that one doesn't get picked off because every broadcast across, all media tonight and everybody in the chat is talking about it. That was offside. It could have stayed 2-2. And you had all the time in the world, by the way. You never had it handed to you on a platter because that specific goal was under review for whether or not it was in the net or pushed in by Esamont for 5 minutes. That was a goal. Very clear goal. I had no issue with it being called a goal, but it was offside. You had to challenge that. I don't know how they don't challenge it. 2 now this year that I've been confused by about. 1 that was a challenge that I thought was the most insane challenge ever, and 2 that I thought was not a challenge, that should have been challenged and was not challenged at all. So interesting stuff from the video team, which I think has been one of the best video teams in the NHL and over the past while, but I don't know, sleep at the wheel right now on those ones. All right, anyways. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate your time here tonight. Make sure to hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel as well if you want to listen to podcasts. Leafs Nation After Dark on all podcasting platforms. You can check us out there. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys back here tomorrow for a game preview and a post-game show following the game against the Carolina Hurricanes. Until then, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on